Going to bring some business news now on the programme. We're going to start with the Belt and Road Forum. It's kicking off this Tuesday in Beijing. It marks the 10-year anniversary, in fact, of the massive infrastructure project. Our business editor, Charles Pellegrin, is here to tell us all about it, Charles.
Morning, Stuart. It was launched in 2013 and is one of Xi Jinping's signature policies. And as we're about to see, it's really undergone a transformation in the last 10 years. Beijing now says it has inked close to $2 trillion in contracts around the world, contracts that cover a wide array of different investments, roads, high-speed rail, ports, energy infrastructure, among others. Now, over the course of 10 years, the number of signatories to the project has gone from 8 members in 2013 to now 150, and representatives from about 130 countries are gathering at this year's summit in the Chinese capital. Many arguments are made for and against the Belt and Road Initiative. On the plus side, it's been a much-needed vector for investment, development, and economic growth for global South countries. On the downside, it has saddled many nations with huge levels of external debt, while in many instances also causing environmental harm and inviting opportunities for corruption. But the Belt and Road Initiative today is not the same project it was 10 years ago, in part because of a response to these criticisms. Researchers have found that as China's economic growth is slowing down, the days of seemingly unlimited overseas borrowing are coming to an end. China's total overseas development finance was only just below $5 billion in 2021 and far from the peak seen in 2016, just under $90 billion for that year. That's because China's overseas investment policy is now to try and focus on smaller and greener projects. One example, according to Chinese state media, Serbia and China's railway manufacturer CRRC have signed an agreement this Tuesday to sell 20 high-speed rail carriages for the Hungary-Serbia railway link connecting Belgrade and Budapest. Serbian President Alexander Vučić arrived in Beijing on Monday, as you can see here. Staying in China, the country's largest property developer, Country Garden, is on the edge this Tuesday. Its entire offshore debt will be deemed to be in default if it fails to make a $15 million coupon payment before the end of a 30-day grace period, which expires this Tuesday. This could trigger other cross defaults in other bonds. Country Garden would follow in the footsteps of scores of other Chinese developers who've already defaulted. Real estate represents anywhere between 15% and 30% of China's GDP, depending on the method of calculation. Let's have a quick markets roundup now. Let's have a look at how the European markets have opened this Tuesday. Opened rather flat or even lower. Investors awaiting a raft of corporate earnings releases. As you can see, the FTSE in London down just below 0.1%, and the Paris CAC 40 down almost 0.2%. In Asia, all the major Asian marketplaces are trading higher this hour. We'll have those figures up soon. Investors in Asia awaiting the release of economic data this week, including Chinese GDP figures on Wednesday. As you can see, the Nikkei in Tokyo closing the session up 1%. Same for the Kospi in Seoul. The Hang Seng in Hong Kong up 0.8%. Let's check in also on the oil markets now. We're seeing the West Texas Intermediate dropping a bit after a roller coaster 10 days following the conflict between Israel and Hamas. Joe Biden's visit to Israel in a bid to de-escalate tensions playing a key part there. The key factor here for oil markets is whether we can expect more pressure on Iran's oil production as a result of its ties with Hamas. You can see the West Texas Intermediate trading around $86.50 a barrel. The Brent crude trading at around $89 a barrel. Let's head to the U.S. now, where Disney's 100th birthday comes at a difficult time for the company, faced with a strike by Hollywood's largest union, the SAG-AFTRA, which represents actors targeting the major U.S. studios. Negotiations currently stuck over how streaming revenues is shared. This after Disney launched its Disney Plus streaming platform in 2019, which now has 145 million subscribers. Let's listen into some of the actors on the picket line.
Feels different being here in this capacity than it normally being very celebratory. Congratulations to them, but also boo on them for meeting this mark and not supporting us in all of our efforts and giving us the best treatment possible for all the entertainment that we as actors and writers have brought them over the years.
But I think it's very disingenuous. They offered us a worse deal when they first offered back in the beginning. So, I mean, it's been a long road, but we're not going anywhere. So it's up to them.
And finally, sometimes hobbies, well, they get in the way of people's professional lives. Goldman Sachs chief executive David Solomon has decided to stop DJing at high-profile events following criticism that his hobby created a distraction from his work leading the Wall Street firm, according to reporting from the Financial Times. Solomon's musical ventures attracted unwanted attention to Goldman Sachs's board, notably, Stuart, when he performed at a Belgian festival, Tomorrowland, which apparently, which is something I've read in the news, is very famous for heavy drug taking.
Ah, OK. Perhaps not ideal for a CEO. He should be careful what he sings, shouldn't he? Charles Pellegrin with the business news for you here on France 24.